Exciting day. Very exciting day. We have our delivery from Solo Music here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to jostle around too much. Very, very nice. So around the fret hole and around where the neck is going to be joining this, the wood is a little bit less refined, but take a nice look at this. Get it upright. Try and avoid putting too many of my finger oils onto this, but as you can see here, take a look at that. It's missing its nut on the end here. Very raw. It's obviously hasn't been sanded or anything. But what we have here is actually a pretty close to finished fretboard. So there's going to be no sanding on this here. The frets themselves are a little bit jagged, so what I'm going to do is probably play with that. But because we've got a plastic, looks like a plastic edge all the way around here. Might be wood, but it looks like a plastic bevel on the edge there. I have to be really close and really precise when I'm using a nail file to be able to take the edges of these frets off. So this here's my tool of choice when I'm dealing with the frets. Essentially what I've done is I've tried to expose all the frets, and now what I'm going to do is just work in a direction that keeps the tape intact, but just trying to expose the metal back a little bit, and just push it back so that when you're moving your hand up and down the fret playing the guitar, it's nice and smooth. Alright, so we've got sanding here. The neck is still taped on the fret side, but what we've done is using an X-Acto blade going all the way down the edge, made sure that the wood is exposed all the way. Because really what we're doing with an acoustic guitar relative to the electric guitar construction is we're going to have to do all the sanding before we put and glue the neck on the body. So both sanding of the neck here, and then I'll move that away and I'll bring the body over, have to sand that down. So we're going to start. What I'm going to do here is literally just use the weight of the block, as I said, and just make sure that I've got a nice smooth surface. Following the grain, I'm not going to be going up and down against the grain on this. It's just going to do a whole lot of damage to the wood fiber. All right, as promised, we're back now, and I'm pretty happy with the fit. I did a little bit of clearing out for this truss rod here. If I move this out of the way, this is the hole wherein the truss rod itself will have to fit, and I just had to clear that out. I sanded it a little bit. But now we're ready to glue, which is the exciting part, and something that I'm a little bit hesitant with. So, oh, sorry, Taylor. This is terrible. Taylor Swift, man. I wasn't a fan in the day, but I feel like she's getting a little bit needy now. Oh, this is a dope track, though. Ryu and Ken. Alright, here we are, tight bond. We're going to use the wood glue again. We're going to come up here, we're going to come up here, and then we're going to go fretboard. Oh, I've already started. Here we go. Pressure. But if we can see here, the clearance issues that I was dealing with yesterday are pretty well gone with that pressure, and so hopefully as we set here, the guitar will be ready to play, ready to set up, ready to finish in the coming days. So this is I think day 4. And she's gonna sit. All right, so quick check-in. This is day 5. Just took the braces off. Last we checked, there was being set to be glued here, but now the neck has been attached, and we've got a pretty good play. There's been some good fall away with the neck into the sound hole there, so hopefully the guitar will play nice. But up next, we're doing staining. So now we're getting into the artistic stages of this.
The cause of suffering is desire. Craving, clinging, grasping. You suffer because you desire. Now supposing then you try not to desire. And see if by not desiring you can cease from suffering. There is nothing either good or ill. Thinking makes it so. And therefore, if you can control your mind, you've nothing else that you need control. Craving, clinging, grasping. The cause of suffering is desire. There is nothing either good or ill. Thinking makes it so. There is nothing either good or ill. Thinking makes it so. When you try to
this is 6 coats of the tongue oil on top of the guitar here. So what we've got now is pretty much the finish that we're going to be looking with prior to putting a nice gloss coat on top of it. The way I'm going to be moving on this is, I think the way I'm going to approach it is I'm actually going to flip the guitar for the first time. What I'll do is I'll do a first pass on the back of the neck, on the back of the body of the guitar, From there, what I plan on doing is probably then putting my hand in the sound hole here, inverting the guitar and trying to get all the way around in a smooth path.
It'll be like the hound of heaven that pursues it. There is nothing either good or ill, thinking makes it so. And therefore, if you can control your mind, you've nothing else that you need control. The cause of suffering is desire. 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 The cause of suffering is desire.
We're gonna let this sit now for 7 days. So essentially the stain that's on there, it's an oil-based stain, and it'll dry to the touch probably 6 to 8 hours. So probably another 3-4 hours from now. But essentially what we're gonna be doing after that is gonna be putting on a clear coat. And like I said, we're gonna need that oil to seep into the wood and to completely dry and finish. Now we wait. We're back. This is after it sat for 7 days. Probably now 2-3 weeks into the process as a result of all the latency, waiting for it to dry. But what I just did was I took a little bit of steel wool, went all the way around the outside here. I don't know if you can see that white edge on the very top of the guitar. It's still a little bit stained all the way around the edge. I'm not working on the edge yet, just the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to do a little bit of sanding, and then we're going to move in to the final stage, which is that beautiful gloss coat on the very top. And we're going to go 3-4 coats of that. And so now what I'm going to do is, after having sanded this smooth, so that it sits flat on the guitar. I'm now ready to apply some glue and get the clamps in place. Just for posterity, I do have what's called a caul, C-A-U-L, piece of wood essentially inside the guitar, so that I've got an even surface such that these clamps aren't sitting on any brace or anything. They're applying even pressure on the guitar. And so what I'm going to do now is apply some glue and try and get the clamps in place in a relative amount of time. The right pressure all the way through. I'm just going to add a little bit more if I can. Here we are. Alright, 24 hours later, I think we're now day 17. I took the clamp off here, and as you can see, the bridge is now glued on. What I'm moving into now is getting some hardware installed, which is a really exciting step, meaning that we're going to be playing this guitar sooner than later. I'm using my drill here. I've got an 1/8 of an inch drill bit. I'm going to be going in through these holes on the saddle here, on the bridge, and going right through so that I can get eventually these guitar pins all the way through to hold strings in. Alright, so there's been a little bit that's happened here on the guitar, obviously, since the last time that this was rolling. But essentially what we did is I had to set the whole guitar up, including the strings, to tune, for a couple of reasons. One, I was antsy and I wanted to play this so bad. And frankly, I really, really love it. But I really do love it. There's a few things that I want to adjust immediately, and the most prominent of those things is the saddle height. What I found is that it's a little bit high, and I actually use this makeshift ruler here to determine. I'm actually going to be taking off close to 1/2 centimeter. Before I do that, I'm going to put on the final touches of this guitar, which includes a pick guard, which will sit something like this, and then again this sound hole decal, which I'm going to have to trim to fit, and really find how I want to do that. But once the strings are off, that'll be a little bit easier. But essentially the guitar is going to have a sound hole, decal going around it along with the pick guard, and then nylon strings going on top after I adjust this saddle. Okay, 24 hours since we put on the vinyl and the pick guard. These things are, I believe, as close to set as they're going to be for the time being. Now what I have, as I mentioned yesterday, are these beautiful, and I'm hoping beautiful, folk nylon strings that I'm going to be putting on. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to be paying a close attention to the 3 strings, my G, D, and E, high E string, to make sure that I'm winding them the right way. But this will be the first time that I've got my strings on my new lowered bridge saddle. I've cleaned up all my frets a little bit more than what was done before, so hopefully she really sounds good at the end of this. So now I will be opening this bag and getting into the stringing.